Hey gang, sorry it's been a minute since I've been on YouTube. I've been doing a bunch of stuff on my site, jazzdrummersresource.com. Been on the road a little bit, and I've also been working on a bunch of promo stuff for these Modern Drummer articles that just recently came out, which I'm super honored by because I've been a huge fan of Modern Drummer for years. And I'm really excited that these 3 articles came out, and I'm going to do a couple of videos here that focus on what the articles were basically about. They're a little 3-part series. It's been the last 3 months in Modern Drummer called Jazz 101. The purpose behind it is simple. If you grew up playing a style of music other than jazz, like pretty much every drummer on the planet almost these days, some of the transitions, some of the subtle details of playing swing versus playing any other sort of style can be hurdles for us to jump over. So like I grew up playing really bad 80s music, right? And then was in a bunch of cover bands and original bands in the 90s. And then as I started getting into jazz, I was running into these things where I could tell I sounded like a rock drummer playing jazz versus a jazz drummer. So the one we're going to focus on today is the first article I did called Avoiding the One. So we're just going to touch on something briefly here, at least to kind of get you guys rolling. And it's simple. It's a series of exercises designed to avoid resolving a phrase to 1. Instead, we're going to resolve it on the and of 4. You can read all about why in the article, and I'll probably do some more of these coming up. But for now, let's jump in. It's pretty simple. We're going to do a very short exercise. It's going to be a 4-bar exercise. And at the end of the 4th bar, we have to play an accent on the and of 4, not 1, really not even anywhere else. Definitely not 1. We're going to anticipate 1 by ending on the and of 4. So for now we're going to just think about 4 different sounds that we can use to play on the and of 4. A short sound with the snare drum, a short sound with the bass drum, a long sound with a snare drum, which means snare drum and a crash, or maybe like an open hi-hat kind of a thing. And then a long sound with the bass drum, so most likely a crash with the bass drum. So for each of those things, what we're going to do is we're going to loop a 4-bar phrase, and then start very simply. At first, just make sure you play almost nothing in the left hand or right foot until you mark the and of 4. Get used to how that feels. See if you are comfortable not having to resolve to 1. It might take you a minute to get trained to start hearing these phrases that end on the and of 4 and not on 1. So first, just practice it with just a snare drum, then just a bass drum, then snare drum with crash, and then bass drum as crash. And just looping that 4-bar phrase over and over again. And as you get more and more comfortable, start leading into that phrase. So maybe play a couple of beats of comping before the and of 1, before you set up the and of 4. Or maybe play a couple of bars worth of comping before you set up the and of 4. So let's take a quick peek at what that would look like. Okay, pretty simple, right? It seems simple. The only issue is you might be surprised at how often your tendency will be to resolve to 1. And the reason that is because almost every other style of drum set music resolves on 1. So if we've been trained for years and years, every single fill, everything we know is supposed to end on the 1. Sometimes that little jump takes us a second. So let's make sure we really iron that out. After it gets comfortable, think not in a 4-bar phrase, but like an 8-bar phrase, and really see how far you can stretch it so that you've got lots of flexibility when you're on the gig. And also make sure you can do it at other tempos. For example, if we did the exact same thing, but faster. All right, that's it. Pretty simple exercise. Try it at a bunch of different tempos, and hopefully that'll get comfortable pretty soon. Check out the Modern Drummer article called Avoiding the One. All right, thanks a lot. Good luck, guys.